GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our Daily Gun Show. Gonna be live almost every day, and we'll be taking a look at some things. On Wednesdays, we take a look at what happened over on the Instagrams that was focused on the Second Amendment, not guns or just general entertainment, but specifically on Second Amendment stuff. So, if the puppy co-host here would allow, we're going to flip over to that screen share. We'll put the puppy in a puppy camera down here so everybody can monitor the co-host for cuteness and sleepiness, because he's very sleepy today, I guess. So he won't stay put. I'll keep moving the camera around. There we go. He's tired. He doesn't want to wake up for the show. It's his prerogative, I guess. There's a comment period going on. You're probably sick of hearing this from all the different people that you follow on the social platforms and on the YouTubes and on the news and on the radio shows. They're probably constantly talking about the comment periods. There's two of them. One for how we store our gunpowder, which has never been a problem ever. But, of course, more regulation requires a step-by-step process. So they're going to nibble away at that one. We're supposed to ignore it because there's also this one, the definition of engaged in the business as a dealer in firearms. So, a long time ago, I posted a... Oh, do I have it up here? Well, I guess I took it down somewhere. A long time ago, though, we made some patches that said, I'm an unlicensed dealer, because this was back in maybe the 16, maybe earlier than that, election. They were trying to suggest that if you made a profit selling firearms, then you were a dealer, and that way you had to become a dealer, and that way they would not let you become a dealer. And that was a way to prohibit anyone from selling any number of firearms. Well, it didn't work back then, and they brought it back, and now it's going up to the ATF. Since they are in control of the executive branch, they're able to tell the executive branch what to do, and when it's going to reinterpret its enforcement of the rules, change the rules, it's going to have a procedure, and part of that procedure is the comment period. So a bunch of people that are scared to fight are going to say, oh, well, you shouldn't fight because we're scared to fight, and if nobody fights, then we can act like we're just getting trampled on. But in reality, you have to stand up and do stuff once in a while, and part of that is learning how to work together. Part of that is doing stuff that isn't necessarily going to always pay off. People that are coddled and given stuff constantly, they don't know what it's like to earn or to attempt, and they can't handle the challenge or the frustration of working within the bureaucracy. They want bureaucracy to just work for them. They want this government to just do exactly what they want. Well, it's called fascism, and we don't want a government that just does what any side wants, because that's fascism, and it's really, really awesome for the few people that dig it, and it's really shitty for everybody else. So bureaucracy, democracy, what do we call this? Republic, or the republic, the system of government that we have has pieces and elements to it that are good and pieces that suck, parts that are easy and parts that are difficult. And this one is one of the ones that, because it's work and because we're not going to get a massive payoff at the end, because they can't act like their money did something to this, the national level organizations are essentially ignoring it. We have a couple of them that will give it some attention, but we see none of the people out there who suggest that they're advocates paying any attention to this one. Is it because they're scared? Because they are ignoring it or ignorant of it? What's the deal? In the past, we've had champions of this. In the past, we've wailed on this. In the past, we've used this as a rally. And this time around, we're just going to get trampled by it. We're going to get wailed on, and it's going to be used to push and bully around Republican representatives to do more gun control like they did 2 years ago. But we're quite bitching about it. The definition or the comment period lasts, as it says right here, 43 more days. That started on September 7th, and it'll end on December something like 24th or something. Right for Christmas. Isn't that nice? It'll end on Christmas or something. It'll end on December 7th, sorry. D-Day. So, you can champion this and tell people about it. You can demand people that are out there taking your time and your attention, pay attention to it, or you can just sit in the audience and not do anything. But we're on the internet. You have the ability to interact with the people that are out there. Trust me, they give a shit what you're saying out there. We got Cape Gun Works after this, so I always like to plug that show. Consider this a warm-up to that show. So check it out. Of course, Massachusetts is dealing with a bunch of heinous bullshit right now. And Toby from Cape Gun Works does a show every Tuesday on the Kate Grace Curley Show and every Wednesday for their own podcast. And this is going to happen in about 100 minutes. I think we can try to get this show in before that. So what we're going to be taking a look at is instant grams. That's what we do on Wednesdays, is we go over instant grams and we try to take the stuff that's good over there and push it up over here. One, so that y'all can see it, because y'all are lazy. You don't like to go look at pictures. You have to look at videos. And then two, because the people over here, or the robots over here, don't always read the stuff over there. 2 different platforms, 2 different styles and whatnot. So this stuff gets often missed. People over there don't come over here. Y'all don't go over there. Makes sense, right? So I'm trying to cross those streams and at the same time archive some of this stuff. Because the transcript of this will be turned into text, and that will be indexed. So there's a method to this. There's a reason for some of this. Also, we'd like to champion some of the stuff that happens out there that a lot of people are ignoring. There's a lot of work being done right now, and pretty much everybody's ignoring it because, 1, they can't profit off of it, and 2, they aren't involved in it, and 3, it's better than them. They don't like championing shit that's better than them a lot of times. All right. We're also live, so we'll say hey to the people joining us live. We're also a podcast. This is the Wednesday episode of our Daily Gun Show podcast. So if you're out there listening in the podcast realm, like driving a car, honk, we'll hear it. And if you're in an airplane or whatever, kick on the seat in front of you. That person will know that you're listening to our podcast. Or I guess you could make a comment and a thumbs up or a heart or a squiggly line or whatever it is on the podcast platform that you're listening to. We're on all of them, so it's hard to know which one you're listening on unless you tell us. So tell us. That way we know what's up. The logarithms get engaged, and we're one of the top 10 podcasts, period. Like, we're one of the top 10 podcasts, top 10% of podcasts. That puts us way in the top of the Top Gun podcast. So can make us even better by putting a little interactivity there with the platforms. So I have no idea where we ended this thing last week. I don't recognize any of these. I guess we could try starting with the stupid Navy's birthday. I guess they're not stupid, but they got a bunch of boats. Let's see, October 13th. Well, that's way far back, so we'll come way far forward. But this is everybody just going to DC. Wasn't that just a week? That was that long ago? 7 days ago. Yeah, so what's up with that? Why was there such a gap right there? What's this one? October 14th. What did I stop looking at? Oh, maybe I did stop looking at Instagram for a number of days. There's the 16th. Yeah, copywriting me. All right, so we're going to start with this one. Unapologetically Armed, who I believe is out there this afternoon, this morning, depending on where you are. Welcome. Just got back, I'm assuming, from the Washington, D.C. with the Women for Gun Rights, and they all show up, they gather in Washington, D.C. at least once a year, and at least one layer of the organization and they meet up with and interact with the representatives. We're going to see plenty of that because some of them documented their stuff. So I'm not going to play the audio because they'll copyright me, but here's the plane taking off. Kind of neat to be sitting over the wing. That's a pretty cool place to be, in my opinion, on an airplane. Special bonus points if you know what kind of airplane this is just by looking at the wing of it. And looks like you had a nice cloudy day to take off. But that's okay. So I don't know how long this one lasts, so we'll just keep going. But thanks for taking the effort, the cost, and the time away from your family and your obligations in your home to go champion for the rights of everybody and educate and create awareness in those representatives in D.C. at their offices in D.C., which is a lot different than just going an hour to their offices in your state. When you travel to their offices in D.C., they understand that you're taking that time. So when they talk about a phone call being worth more than an email, and that's worth more than a click on some organization's form, how much is it worth to get on an airplane and show up with a couple of other ladies on your own time? And they know you're not being funded by the 14th richest human being on the planet. They understand that. So it's an amazing thing that's taken place this last week. So Stephen Holberg is one of our researchers. He's an author. I don't know what this is supposed to be. It says, you think you have a good cause to carry a firearm? Ha ha ha, run along, minion. And it says, today an overwhelming majority of states recognize the right to carry a handgun in public, either with or without a license. Only 8 states, California, Delaware, Hawaii, Maryland, and Massachusetts, New Jersey and New York, and Rhode Island, grant discretion to the government to restrict that right. Only to a few persons it decides need or have good cause to carry a firearm. The outlier states make it a serious crime to bear arms for self-defense without first receiving permission to do so from the government, and routinely incarcerate their own citizens and unsuspecting travelers for gun possession on that basis. To put it colloquially, there's that word there. Your papers are not in order. These discretionary licensing schemes have become a major issue in Second Amendment litigation, with some federal circuits upholding such laws and others invalidating them. And that's from some book he wrote, I guess. I don't know what that picture is all about. So here we've got Robin Sandoval, who is the executive director of Girl in a Gun. Is also with Women for Gun Rights and a mom, and she is at where is that? That's the Congress. So the House of Congress there. I don't know if I've ever stood there before. I'm trying to think of where this is. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. So this is the Girl in a Gun Club posting it, and womenforgunrights.org. Is that the organization's website now? I guess I should favorite that now. About WGR. Now it's WGR, eh? All right. So getting used to the name change. Trying to. All right. So then, boom. Another one from Unapologetically Armed. Getting reposted. Now, is this your new one? Or is this from last time around? But you're standing there next to Heller. Or in front of Heller, I guess. They say the Women for Gun Rights rally, fly-in rally, was a great success. Come on, man. Stories of empowerment, strength, and perseverance were shared by women in our group. We are so blessed to be surrounded by women who are passionate about being their own first responder. I think that's from Mary from Connecticut. And then it's mostly the ladies from the organization saying, right on. It'd be great to see a hell of a lot more people. Wouldn't it be awesome to see a hell of a lot more people supporting them on their own page there? So now we got Rebecca Schmoy posting, being peaceful is a decision which only the powerful get to make. The power is in exercising your personal responsibility and individual liberty. It's a great message, and I like to see it out there in different ways, right? You never know what's going to stick, what's going to reach somebody. Unapologetic Firearms says this year, that's a picture from this year, redid the signs. Right on. All right, let me take a second here since I'm drinking in the microphone anyway and say hey to everybody. Snob is out there. Gun Snob, welcome. Abigail joining us. I don't know what that word is, but yes, good morning. Black Cat saying hey, welcome. And Unapologetically Armed. Chicago Mike also out there this morning, as well as Gunmetal Guy. Thanks everybody for joining us live. We wouldn't know you're live or you're joining us live unless you say something. There's a lot of people that just lurk. So let's keep moving. Again, seeing the message out there is good, and seeing it written in different ways. You see a lot of times this written by Marines, and that can reach some people, but it ain't going to reach everybody. So I like to see this message getting out there to reach, because this message is appropriate for anybody, and it's good to see it reach more people. So this is 2A cops, a couple of police officers from California that retired and now advocate for police who are on the job, who aren't able to voice whatever they want because of their job rules or whatever. So this is when they've visited the lamest of all the museums. I've been to 33 of our firearms museums in the country, and hands down the worst, the lamest of the museums, the shittiest of the museums out there is the Cody Firearms Museum. Hands down the worst of the museums. And I'm not even kidding. There's nothing to joke about that. It's literally the worst museum. So this one says, abolish the NFA. Read the historical marker above. They got a nice collection. Imagine how much nicer it'd be if the unconstitutional NFA wasn't around. Well, they don't have a nice collection. They have stolen a collection. Well, they have a collection because it was given to them, but they don't show it off. So anyway, it says the Cody Firearms Museum has the ability to collect NFA artifacts. However, there are many firearms we are unable to collect. There is no amnesty for museums from gun laws in the United States. As a result, only government entities can collect unregistered NFA items. Additionally, the Hughes Amendment of 1986 prevents museums from collecting machine guns made after that time, limiting us to civilian versions of military rifles from the past 30 years. That's true to an extent. I've talked to other museum curators who have a different opinion of that. And then it shows this picture, which is, can you imagine acting like they're the largest, best museum, and this is the shitty assortment of lame, shitty, sparse assortment of guns that they're going to show? Yeah, this is an indication how shitty that museum is. But anyway, 2A cops, I guess, visited it, and I let them know in one of the comments on one of their other pictures about the shitty museum that they should check out Dragon Man's, which is starkly in contrast one of the best museums in the country, or the J.M. Davis, which may or may not be the best gun museum, period. So I've only been to 33 of them, so just telling you that's the deal. So now we get Diana's page posting the same picture of Unapologetically Armed, but also her. And now you guys were back at the Supreme Court again then? Because this is the Supreme Court building, right? And this says, sun went down on a pretty epic day of freedom, fighting on our nation's capital, rallying the steps of SCOTUS. Yeah, is always a surreal experience. Monumental decisions that shape our nation are made here. So is this because it was sunset? Doesn't seem like. Well, how could sunset be on? Where were you, on the west side of the Congress building? I thought this was the east side of the Congress building all this time. So I don't get it. But it says sun went down on a pretty epic day. So this might be pictures from the morning, and then, I don't know, let us know. So we're essentially looking at ladies holding up their rally signs in front of the steps of SCOTUS, kind of looking from the bottom up at them, and looks pretty good. Looks like they've got some scaffolding, so they might be working on it. But anyhow, I was trying to see from the pictures how many people showed up too, and this is about, some of the better pictures we got to see. Number of people that showed up. So what are we looking at here? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 22, 4, 8, 30 people, 36. I don't know if you guys keep track or what, but there's Unapologetically Armed with the gun-free zones have got to go sign. I don't know who half of these other people are, so I know about half of them, it looks like. So there's Carrie Ann from Massachusetts, and her fancy glittered up shirt, or whatever they call it, rhinestoned up shirt. There's Amanda and Dick Heller and somebody else with the Criminals Love Gun-Free Zones sign. There's the Washington Monument with, or no, wait, what is that one? Yeah, is that Washington? No. Damn it, I can't think. Is that the Washington Monument with Robin standing there? Be better in front of the Capitol. What am I saying? That's the wrong monument in front of that shirt. Whatever. So anyway, that's a bunch of pictures from there. Now we get Shoot Smart, which is a range in Texas. I think in Dallas area. I'd remember. One of the ranges that I visited back in the day. And I just thought this was cool, doing Machine Gun Mondays. They got some kind of GIF going on here. So this isn't an image. This is an actual little video going. And so it creates this, moving image. It's a lot of work for one little moving image. And then it says Teacher Tuesdays. How cool is that? $5 traditional lanes and $15 private lane rentals for teachers and facilities, or faculty, sorry. Teachers and faculty must show ID. So $5 lanes and $15 private lanes. So that's super cool. I really like that. And then Women Wednesdays, $5 lanes and $15 private lanes for ladies. So creating opportunity for more people to share the gun and firearms experience or whatever. Very cool. This is Lauren doing her pictures from the DC Project, Women for Gun Rights. Yeah, she's doing it right. DC Project / Women for Gun Rights. Spent the day on Capitol Hill. So this is the real Capitol, right? This is where the 2019 rally was held at these steps here. Well, yeah. So safety and protecting the Second Amendment. The conversations, while there were disagreements and different points of view, was productive and enlightening. We were able to find common ground and came up with great ideas to both make our community safer while preserving our gun rights. Can't wait for what tomorrow brings. So really looking forward to seeing how this project keeps going, because we've got lots of able people meeting up and doing good, intent, and now over many, many years. So it's got to be having an effect on both the people, the advocates that are showing up and solidifying their abilities and their relationships and their group and their goals and their skills and tactics to get to that, right? Plus also the representatives. This isn't like they're just going and hanging out in a parking lot. They're going and meeting with their actual representatives of our country. And this is having some effect. So we need to see the documentation of that with some metrics. How do we metric this? How do we analyze this? All right, so one way is to view the social media posts of people that are doing it live, right, and dissecting it and figuring it all out. But it'd be great to have somebody who's, in the know, making some kind of consolidated, like a giant diary of it all. Keep some kind of log of what all happened so we can see some kind of effects. A lot of people are probably going to claim the benefits or the productive, the positive benefits of the thing. We need to see the DC Project or whatever, Women for Gun Rights, call their shots. Here's what we did. Here's what we accomplished. So that when those things come to fruition, they can take credit for what they started. The other side of things, you got New Mexico's governor pushing her 30-day bullshit another 30 days. So it says New Mexico Democrat Governor Michelle What's-Her-Face praised herself for implementing dubious gun control measures, following her initial 30-day suspension of constitutional rights was forcefully and roundly criticized, even by the antis who were paid for by the 14th richest person on the planet. Everytown for Gun Safety endorsed sheriff. That's a weird way of saying it. Whatever's face is flat out rejected enforcing it. Most of the results she celebrated came from law enforcement getting tough on holding criminals accountable for breaking laws, not from restricting the rights of law-abiding New Mexicans. The governor has now extended her emergency order for an additional 30 days. So it's a long-ass way of saying she's just being more of a tyrant, and she was given free reign, so she's going to continue to take that reign. What does this guy say?
In this committee, passed by this committee, passed by the House, passed by the Senate, and signed by the president. Nope. This rule turns law-abiding gun owners into felons is a result of unelected bureaucrats simply enacting a new regulation. You mentioned enforcement. How are you going to enforce this? We're going to go to gun ranges?
What we will do is
You're going to go to manufacturers and look at the risk to people they've sold braces to? Unless you remove the brace, lengthen the barrel, turn in or destroy your firearm or register your gun with this government that you know you can trust because Mr. Wilcox has been working with them. You know you can trust. Unless you do those four things, what happens? What are you?
a felon.
A felon. A felon for something 10 years ago they said was just fine. Last week in a hearing in front of Congress in the Appropriations Committee.
Well, all right. So it says representatives from Gun Owners of America, by the way, posting this snippet. It says Representative Jim Jordan is a proven pro Second Amendment leader who can stand up to business as usual in the swamp. Representative Jordan has maintained an A rating from Gun Owners of America for decades, even since his days in the Ohio State Legislature, and we are proud to stand with Jim Jordan for Speaker of the House. Second Amendment supporters across the country have a friend holding the gavel, will have a friend holding the gavel, which hasn't been the case for many years. Gun Owners America scoring any vote against confirming, I don't know what they're trying to say there, call the House of Representatives switchboard and tell your representative to vote for Jim Jordan. I'm going to just say the phone number in case you're listening and you want to call them. 202-224-3121. Probably worth calling them once in a while. If they don't know your name, then are they your representative? So you're allowed to call them. You don't have to sit and watch. It's not politics isn't a spectator sport. Our government isn't a spectator sport. It's a participatory. It's not an obligation. It's not a responsibility unless you consider it one. If you appreciate the opportunity and you respect the responsibility, then it is. But otherwise, it's just your entertainment. And guess what? Entertainment. When you're an audience, what kind of respect does the audience get in that situation? Let's see. I found a few gun creation myths and legends since last time I was in the chat. Right on. That's a new post Connor made endorsing new speaker has been chosen, though. I was going to say, where is this at? Because this is a week old. Who is the new speaker? Is it that guy? Hopefully it's this guy. It's probably not, though. I heard something like if the Republicans didn't choose somebody, then the Democrats got to vote, and then it would be a Democrat in charge of the Republicans. That would be funny. Well, not funny, but it'd be frustrating. Representative Mike Johnson. I'm not going to look, but is that a Republican or is it a Democrat now? I don't know. I don't follow politicians at all. So the next one is from Firearms Policy, Gun Policy on Instagram. It says Massachusetts, this anti-rights narcissist and his co-conspirators operated in darkness to circumvent the legislative process and bring their anti-rights wish list, formerly HD 4607 and now H 4135, to a floor vote tomorrow, October 18th. Here's how you can make your voice heard. Contact the House of Representatives with the link there. Call Speaker Mariano at the phone number there. Email the speaker at the email there. And then that was from probably last Tuesday, because I think it was Wednesday that all this happened. So, FPC at the last minute, stepping up in Massachusetts. I don't know, did the other national level organizations do so? I imagine they must have. Maybe I missed it. Trigology saying Republican of Louisiana. Right on. At least it's a Republican. I don't care if it's right or left. I just don't want that kind of quagmire where the left are telling the right what to do on both sides. I don't mind one side or the other having this, whatever. I don't mind the quagmire. I don't mind them being stuck. I don't like it when they got a free ride. Let's see. So this was Los Angeles Police Museum. Speaking of California, Trigology's from California. Are you in LA? I think you might even be in LA, or at least that area. Los Angeles Police Museum is a cool museum, one of the better museums. We talked about one of literally the shittiest museum. Well, yeah, literally the shittiest museum that you can go into as the public is the Cody Museum. And the Los Angeles Museum, you'd think, what, a police museum in Los Angeles? How good can that be? It's literally one of the better museums. It doesn't have a ton of guns. I'm not going to try to say it has a lot of guns. It has some interesting guns. But it is a good museum. It's a very interactive, like you can tell they really they knew what they were doing, like making it a fun museum. You go there and you have a good time. It's a good museum. Oh, sorry, I thought I was reading something important over there. They're distracting me. Anyway, this is a video from a shoot. They had a Southern California lawman pistol competition recently, and on behalf of the Los Angeles Police Museum, they're thankful for the sponsors, vendors, and participants. So, you might think, oh, a museum in Los Angeles isn't going to be about guns or whatever, but at least they're being part of this. So it says it's presented by Point Blank Body Armor. Sponsorships included in the tags. I guess I can't play the music because it's trying to copyright me. But look at all the people involved in this. So definitely looks interesting. If it's law enforcement only, which it probably is, it's a little lame, but at least it's a step in the direction of doing something. Okay, right on. So Triggerology saying that the new, Speaker of the House has spoken in Congress during the hearings as pro 2A, along with Jordan. Right on. There you are in California, LA. Anyway, so that was LA Police Museum. Got me a chance to be able to chat up one of the better museums in the country, so we don't have the horrible taste in our mouth from that shitty museum there that sucks so bad, the Cody Museum. So then we've got Women for Gun Rights. Once again, talking about Robin Sandoval is one of our powerhouse Women for Gun Rights board member, and she runs the largest women's firearms training organization in the country, A Girl in a Gun Club. Listen to her journey from being anti-gun to realizing the need for firearms training in the Second Amendment.
What do I have to do that's never me? That no matter what happens, we can stay together as a family. So I decided I was going to store peanut butter and tuna fish, and we would just hunker down if anything happened in our community. Until he turned to me and said, if people are that desperate, someone's going to kick in our door for our peanut butter and tuna fish.
It's the kind of conversations that people have on the YouTubes all the time, but if people aren't on the YouTubes, they've never had those conversations. At some point, they come to that potential realization that people get unfriendly sometimes. Even the most friendly people become unfriendly sometimes. So I'm not going to play the whole one here, because otherwise that's how this thing turns into multi-hours long. But worth checking out. The Women for Gun Rights Instagram. Check out their project. All right, so this is Allen Anchor. Have you ever heard of them? They're a place here in Arizona now that has facilities, equipment, machines to make, they're robots, let's just call it what it is. Robots that can make all kinds of decals and stickers and the patchery, and they can do things like the tablecloths. If you're going to a show, they can do the banners and things behind you, posters, samples, labels, that kind of thing. So if you need to help with your branding or marketing, check out Allen Acre here in Arizona. They're showing off one of their fancy robots and what they've given knives to their robots, and this is how fancy of knife work you can get while the robot's listening to you. Another picture from Teresa Inneker from New Jersey, posted from the Women for Gun Rights. I'm assuming hanging out in DC or something. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 of them. So, whatever, some event that they went to, or some group of them hanging out. And I've noticed a couple of different, so I don't know what kind of, how they break off or group up and do things. I don't know what kind of projects they could accomplish while they're there, but lots of different insights from these pictures on their social platforms. Let's see. So this is from Unapologetically Arms. Hadn't planned on speaking at our rally last year. Having the opportunity to pour my heart out on an issue I deeply care about was a dream come true. I still haven't come down from the high of that, so I figured why even try to top that, other than being sure to duplicate my signs over again. Then that morning, I hear someone say that Susan will be leading the chants at the rally. Alrighty then, let's do this. And then the rally is, hey, hey, ho, ho, gun-free zones have got to go. And feel free to, I'm assuming she's down with people using that chant at rallies. I like it because it doesn't, some of the stuff people say, turn them into killing zones and shit like that. That doesn't fly with people who are scared of this stuff. So gun-free zones have got to go. It's nice and catchy, doesn't really offend, gets the point across. And it might ask somebody, it might lead someone to question why. And now you can have a conversation with them. Oh, goodness. I love robots. Be careful. Be careful. It starts out where they're little cute robots. They're just there to help. They're just there to service humans until they're just there to service the humans. So this one's from the Green Beret Foundation talking about Scott Mann, Lieutenant Colonel Scott Mann, who is doing the Last Out play, eulogy of a Green Beret. Pretty cool stage play that's going around the country and has had an interesting and an uplifting and like an inspirational story. If you want to listen to an interview, Scott's been on pretty much all of the military interview shows and explained the origin story and the adventures. It's neat to listen to the interviews as he goes along because he's actively he's actively out there and experiencing new things and adding more to the story of the Last Out play. Worth checking out. Here's the DC project rep from Arizona, Sin Lad, and saying Washington DC with Women for Gun Rights, meeting with senators and representatives, staff on the importance of safeguarding the Second Amendment and why it's important to women. Sexist, but whatever. So it says Grandma for Gun Rights, and a bunch of ladies hanging out doing selfies and stuff. And I don't know who this. Oh, Mark Kelly. I guess Mark Kelly probably didn't want to hang out with her, so some intern did. I guess we take what we get. I'm assuming other ladies went with her to talk to Arizona. I'm not sure. And then I'm assuming that's Debbie Lenko. I don't know who that is. Might be somebody else from Arizona. So thanks to Sin Lad for going to DC for Arizona. Most of us lazy ass Arizonans don't bother or thinking about doing it. All right, and then a couple of more pictures. I guess the GOA was there with Empowered 2A, and they sponsored part of it. Definitely interested to hear more about that. And then, of course, Dick Heller's there because he lives in D.C., I guess. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. Massachusetts stop anti-gun rights. So gun policy had that decent post a minute ago talking like, here's the facts. Here's what you can do about it. Here's the call to action, and here's some resources to do something about it. And now here's their goofy ass little, I don't know what this is supposed to be. Like some kind of little scene, or I don't know who any of these people are. So it doesn't make any, I don't know what's going on here. So, essentially, it says Massachusetts stopped the anti-rights omnibus something. Then over here, it tells you what to do or whatever. But I don't know. I guess they have to do different things to reach different people. Doesn't reach me. Makes me question what they're even doing over here. So we're going to move on. So this is interesting. So National Association of African American Gun Owners, Massachusetts, posting the sessions. So here's the link to the sessions. Nobody else even bothers, right? And so we get that link. That was, again, the Wednesday of the event. When a person can't find a deep sense of meaning, they distract themselves with pleasure. I don't know who Viktor Frankl is. Probably some Russian, I'm assuming. But then this is from the philosopher. You define your purpose. I don't know, nice and simple. Good to go. So when a person can't find a deep sense of meaning, they distract themselves with pleasure. So go get some meaning. Do something of substance. Here's Unapologetically Arms hanging out. So excited my favorite congressman was about to squeeze in a bit of time to attend to speak at our Women for Gun Rights press conference today. All the ladies from the anti-gun states are beyond envious and kept trying to lure him to their state to help them out. I feel that for them, but no, he's fine right here in Missouri. So I guess that's some guy from Missouri. And Where is this? This is, you're all over the place chatting with people, I guess, because this is at the Capitol again, but this is way north somewhere, like north of the parking lots or something, maybe. So now we have, what is this? Representative something. This email is intended to clarify that the Massachusetts Chief of Police Association does not support that bullshit law in Massachusetts on the act modernizing blah, blah, blah. The rumor circulating that we have flipped and now support the bill is absolutely false. Thank you for your inquiry. So this is Cape Gunworks posting a response, it looks like, from the Police Officers Association, the Chief of Police Officers Association, who unanimously oppose the bullshit laws that they're suggesting in Massachusetts. So in an effort to get that cleared up, looks like Cape Gunworks posted this. Let's see. Oh, I'm going to check the arm saying GOA sponsored the day of training we had prior to heading to SCOTUS for the rally. Okay. I'm definitely interested in hearing about that. You're going to be on with Clover tomorrow talking about it. So Clover's going to suck and his show's going to be lame. I appreciate that you're going to do it for him, but then hopefully you'll be on with me or something and we'll actually spend as much time as you'll give us to talk about what actually happened. I won't cut you off at an hour and make you just do sound bites. We can do like a long conversation about everything that happened there. So I'm definitely interested, if you're interested or able. All right. So Zane is saying, I love the robots. No more gun-free zones. Maybe no more robot-free zones. I know the South Korean government keeps petitioning the UN to make the UN to make the U.S. disarm the robots. What are you talking about? Last time I watched them at the UN, they kept calling in order to establish world peace and accountability of small arms, small nations. There's probably a lot of people who are in conflict that are pissed off with small arms, but then they go to the countries that, well, I guess we're selling small arms to people, but we're not the ones like selling them in mass from Cold War bunkers to people that I'm aware of. So I suspect they're going to get mad at the people internationally, at the people that would listen to them. But we pretty much don't listen to them. We've had the UN stuff has been an issue since the 80s, maybe even before that. I'm not sure. Let's see. That was Wednesday at the Capitol at the House Triangle press conference we held with members. Okay. So that's a good view, though, because there's a lot of green in that view. You know, that other view is neat because it's got all the stairs and stuff, but it's a lot of concrete. That view with the grass and stuff is pretty cool. All right. So this is the Titan Missile Museum from here in Arizona, or here in Tucson, where we have the only remaining open to the public Titan II intercontinental ballistic missile silo. You can go over there and take a look at it if you want. It's like $20 or something to go through there. Or you can go over the last number. Internet. I'm gonna drink some coffee. Oh, snap. I don't know if Gizzard's watching, but I'm reading about Gizzard. I'm reading the gossip about Gizzard over here. All right, on my other screen. I should probably shut that down. That's probably why I'm having bad internet. Actually, I am going to shut it down. So it is probably why I'm having bad internet. It's we're using the what's it called? We're using the Gilded servers to chat with each other on the regular. The Gilded is a pretty good system. It's better than Discord, but it's very similar to Discord, but it's way better than Discord. And it is a resource hog. Even on a browser, it can be a resource hog, so I shut it down. Anyhow, so this is Titan Missile Museum, Intercontinental Ballistic Missile Silo, 9 stories deep. You can go down in there and look around. It says the Titan II rocket blasted off for the last time 20 years ago, October 18th, 2003. It carried a satellite into low Earth orbit for its final mission. The Titan II had been in use for over 40 years, over half of which included its service as a missile silo as displayed here at the museum. Titan II is a space booster, continued on and over its lifetime included the launch vessel for the Gemini missions, the Clementine, that found evidence of ice on the moon. So we had 3 states with 2 squadrons of 18 intercontinental ballistic missiles. So we had Arizona, Arkansas, and Kansas. Each had 2 squadrons of 18. No, 2 squadrons of 9. Each one of them had 18 intercontinental ballistic missiles. And these are single missiles in a single 9-story deep silo. It's like an 8-story tall missile. So it's essentially a rocket that goes into space, and that's underground. And the crew would go underground. It's where they get from the movies, the whole like going down an elevator and all that. It's not quite that elaborate, but that's where they get that stuff in the movies. This is when they were testing the Titan II. All this stuff above ground is just when they were testing the rockets and figuring it all out. But the silos are underground completely. They blast open and launch a 40 kiloton intercontinental ballistic missile. It'll shoot up into atmosphere as a ballistic missile. It shoots up and launches into space, and then the rest of it is ballistics. The rest of it is just physics coming back down. And it'll launch a shit ton of delivery vehicles that they have to track, and they can't figure out which ones are the real nukes and which ones are just fake. And then all those things come flying back down on the other side of the planet. And when they got done using them as deterrence for an massive nuclear war, and we pulled them out of their silos and destroyed the silos in front of the Russians, we took the missiles themselves and put them here in Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Tucson, laid them out on the ground so that everybody could see them, and then eventually used them to do all these space missions, Gemini and the Clementine missions, and then also launched a shit ton of satellites. We also used them as vehicles to destroy and do different tests and stuff when we needed to blow something up as it was launching. So they got a life. We spent a lot of money on them, but they got some life. How do you spell that Discord alternatives name? It's called Gilded. It's for D&D. It's for like game nerds. So I'll show you our server, and then you can go dig around it from there. I honestly don't even know how this really works. So let me see if I can't. Do I do it like this? I think I can just give you this link, and then you can go look around. No, I'll put it in here. So it's spelled Guilded. Golf, Uniform, India, Lima, Delta, Echo, Delta. .golf. So it's not .com, it's .golf. GG. So it's weird. I'm not saying it's not weird, but it's pretty cool, and it's free, and it's way better than Discord. Anyway, so 20-year anniversary, or whatever it's called, of the last time a Titan II launched. Pretty interesting. We still have one Titan II. I can see it every time I drive south from here. There's one Titan II laying there. It's kind of frustrating. But anyway, you can go over and look at the last Titan II that's in its silo over at the museum anytime you want. Here's Lauren again, and that's a wrap for the 2023 Women for Gun Rights DC Fly-In. And what an eventful 2 days it's been. So it's 2 days now. Today's meetings were incredibly productive. Meeting with Senator Gillibrand's office, where we spoke about effective solutions for our issues. Was able to thank representatives for their continued support and began establishing new relationships with new representatives. Being on the Hill during this historic time was truly exciting and a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Thankfully, I had the Cannon House building minutes prior. I had left the Cannon House building minutes prior to protesters disturbing the legislative protests and making it back home safely. There is a ton of work left to still do. Oh, so is that when the people from Israel, were saying was it about those kind of protests? Somebody took over, the G looks like a shield. Yeah, because it's like for Dungeons and Dragons people, I think, to hang out and play their nerd games on it. Or maybe for video game, I don't know. I think it's for Dungeons and Dragons. I think that's why it's a guild. It's maybe some other video game thing, but I think it says even there, chat for gaming. But we don't do the gaming part. We just use it for the chat part. Anyhow, so Lauren was is the representative for New York, I believe. And so I'm definitely curious to see how that went. Of all the people who can, have some influence, or of all the places that the influence can be made, I would think, a state like New York would be interesting to see what their representatives, how they absorb it or how they understand it and that kind of thing. So, yeah, again, it'd be great to see some after actions or some summaries of how it all went. Again, kind of call your shots and hold some of these representatives accountable. If they say a bunch of stuff at you or say a bunch of stuff and then don't do none of it, let's all know about that. They shouldn't be able to keep that behind closed doors. And if they are changing their minds and doing stuff, then let's champion that, right? Let's make sure that everyone knows that conversation that the Women for Gun Rights representatives had are as well known as possible, like are as effective as possible. All right, so this one's from Gun Owners America. What is this? Telling us something useful, or is it copywriting?
Stating that they can't
All right, we're going to play
decision.
it. This is Minuteman Moment Guy. So we're going to go over here and listen to Minuteman Moment Guy say something from GOA.
The Department of Veterans Affairs has been illegally reporting veterans to NICS. Right now, the VA adds a veteran's name to NICS when a bureaucrat assigns a fiduciary to help that veteran. Fiduciaries are assigned to help veterans manage monthly expenses. But being unable to manage your checkbook isn't a crime. So what's really going on here? The VA has the authority to appoint fiduciaries for veterans. The problem is when the VA reports them to NICS. Once the VA appoints a fiduciary, a letter is mailed to the veteran stating that they can appeal the VA's decision. Unfortunately, this means that if a veteran does not actively respond to or dispute the bureaucrat's decision within 60 days, they lose their Second Amendment rights. Only a lawful authority, like a court, can determine that a veteran is unable to manage his or her own affairs. Their authority to determine if someone needs to be assigned a fiduciary only extends to their VA benefits. In fact, these VA decisions have no legal effect on any other aspect of a veteran's life, including their personal finances and other legal rights. The Department of
So I figure this one's pretty important, not for everybody, but the fact that they're going to take these incremental steps, the fact that they're going to attempt to do little slights, little razor cuts to our rights and to the rights of veterans is messed up. So again, being aware of this, I'll criticize Gun Owners America all the time, but when they're going to do good stuff, let's champion that shit too. Another good reason not to join the military? That's a dumbass thing to say, dude. You can't look at what some individuals doing at the moment and say that's something that would be a justification for something somebody might have done 30 years ago or 30 years from now. So can't agree with that one, dude. Let's see, aesthetic gun ads. This is a pretty cool channel to watch. They just post these old gun ads. So this one is from does it say? It just says October. There's no date on it, but I'm guessing 90s. Maybe it's from the 2000s. I'm trying to remember when that logo came out. Rocky Mountain gun owners, local municipal elections affect you the most. Be active and be heard. And then they've got the I'm pro gun and I vote thing going. Pretty straightforward. Pretty good message. The school boards and the local stuff is the people that are grooming themselves or getting themselves ready to become more politicians, larger politicians, bigger politicians, making them aware that the gun ownership is an issue, that people who care about this are at all levels. It can only be a benefit. This is interesting. A lot of people aren't going to be able to dig this. A lot of people can't handle it. So it says, for many years, we at Gunsight have operated what is known as a hot range. On a hot range, all weapons involved in the live firing are kept loaded at all times. When a relay finishes an exercise, it is enough to say or command, guard, holster, and leave the line. These weapons are kept in the holster and are not touched, except under supervision until that relay comes back on the line again. Then the first command is pick your target. Check your piece downrange, unload. This procedure not only saves an appropriate amount of time training, an appreciable amount of time training, but it makes sure that all hands know rule number one, that all guns are always loaded. It always applies. There are some people who regard a hot range and is inherently dangerous, but it has not proven so to me. Rather the contrary. I understand in some reports from the forward area that a good many Marines are now operating with a hot range, which is definitely to their advantage. Some of those Marines may have learned that at gunsight, and if so, we are pleased to hear it. So I like hot ranges. I can't handle the concept that you need to unload to be safe. That's such a fuddly thing. It's probably from NRA back in the day. So because it's one of the things that's just written down, nobody bothers to question it, and it just keeps going, and it gets ingrained into the route instructions at the range levels. So it just happens, and when it's at the range level, that means the instructors just abide by it. And it's not necessary, and certainly not the only way to do things. And I've always thoroughly enjoyed hot ranges, just understanding that everyone's guns are loaded and leave them alone, just like you do in real life. So it just makes it less brain power, makes it less work for everybody. It's actually way safer, and be happy when we get past all this coddling, fake safery, fake dash safery that we have to deal with while we all get up to speed. Once everybody's up to speed, we'll all look back at these days and go, wasn't that interesting? So sorry, and the people that caused it all will look at each other and go, oh, sorry for making everybody wait. But we're all okay with it. We're just waiting. We're just waiting. So anyway, that's from Lefty Pistolero, a guy who alternately posts new and old stuff from Gunsight. Very cool channel to follow. Lefty Pistolero. Zane is saying I like hot ranges way better. Yeah, me too. I don't know if the Marines all do it. I don't know enough about Marines, but if that's the case, then that's one of the reasons they're better. Gunpowder Beauty. This epic. This is epic. So somebody took some clothes and put them up on a foam pole with some straw in them or newspaper or something, and so it looks like somebody's climbing up that pole. And then they made this tree trunk into a Tremors worm. Yeah, it's freaking epic. I don't know. I thought Gunpowder Beauty did it, but I guess it's just a picture. I don't know. I don't think she's out there right now. So this is from California Firearms Lawyer, a good reminder of the sacrifice of our rights in this country. And then it says over here, final considerations. It is still true that the very purpose of the Bill of Rights was to withdraw certain subjects from the something of political controversy, to place them beyond the reach of majorities and officials, to establish them as legal principles to be applied by the courts. One's right to life, liberty, and property, to free speech, a free press, freedom of worship and assembly, and other fundamental rights may not be submitted to vote, to depend upon the outcome of no elections. The question remains, in an age where weapons run the gambit from fighter jets to tanks to anti-aircraft missiles, down to AR-15s to handguns And now is our audio again? Okay, now we got it back. All right, sorry about that. Thanks for the heads up, though. And we'll go back to bring back screen Sharon. We'll bring back screen Sharon here. Frederick Remington, and he's the brother of Elephant Remington, who invented the invented Remington Company. So he's got a pretty cool story. His dad, he was like, "Hey, Dad, can I have a rifle?" His dad's like, "No," and he's like, "Okay, I'm going to make one." So he found all the nails and everything around that he could find, smashed them up into a barrel, made a rifle out of smashed up nails and stuff, and then started shooting with that rifle and won some kind of awards. And then people were watching him win awards and said, "Hey, can you make me a barrel?" And he started making barrels, and now we have Remington. Just because his dad said, "No, I ain't buying you a barrel." So now we have another one from Soldier Systems. Let's see, artwork by Italian artist Avocado Cerici, used on the poster for one of my favorite movies, The Omega Man. It's a good one. You got the crazy light and the what do you use, like a Sten or something? No, it wasn't a Sten. It was something else. He used a zip cut. The M9. Is that what it is? I don't know what the gun was in that movie. It's 9mm, I think. What'd you wake up for? Look how he wakes up and he does one of these. You going back to bed, or are you gonna get antsy? All right, so next up, Atlanta campaign targets illegal gun purchases. So this is a picture of the ATF standing there at some kind of press release or something. Their little weird stage they've got set up with all their banners for their new marketing campaign. Don't lie for the other guy. It's now different because somebody decided to make it all red instead of green. It used to be green. So it says NSS, and he's going back to bed. He woke up, stretched, laid down the other way. It takes a lot of effort to get up and lay down the other way, but he's willing to do it for us. Not the worst co-host I've ever had. So NSSF, together with the ATF and the DOJ, announced a month-long public education campaign reminding the greater Atlanta area public about stiff penalties facing individuals convicted of unlawful firearms purchases. Firearms industry has always been fully committed to keeping firearms out of the hands of those who should not possess them. We are proud to launch this public awareness campaign in Atlanta and to our more than 2-decade cooperative relationship with ATF, DOJ, and the entire law enforcement community to assist them in their efforts to reduce criminal acquisition of firearms, said the president of the NSSF. If the ATF isn't a Second Amendment supportive organization at all, the ATF does nothing. The ATF then they do. I don't know why that comment is there, but anyway, so that's the NSSF worrying about straw purchases in Georgia. So I don't know. Is that where are we at with that? I don't know what people think. Oh, that's Maj saying, 1, the ATF isn't a Second Amendment supportive organization at all. 2, the ATF is a rogue organization that does nothing to protect the rights of Americans. 3, the ATF attempts to create new laws outside the scope of its job, a job that shouldn't even exist. And it says to criminalize Americans. And then 4, the ATF sold guns to the so-called bad guys in cartels. They literally did the very thing they are attempting to lecture safe and responsible gun owners in Atlanta on. So, yeah, I guess now I see what he's saying. Let's see. Then it says, would be a lot cooler if you didn't team up with the people who shoot dogs. Oh, well, thanks. Wait, oh, wow, thanks. What? Thanks. What of the felons who tried to purchase were in prison instead of parole, not delayed on Nix? I think that's trying to say, what if the felons who tried to purchase were in prison? Holy shit, dude. That's somebody who's never hung out at a gun shop longer than a few hours, because people call in to NICS and get denied constantly. If you want to put everybody who gets denied into jail, you're an a-hole. Like you are an unaware, or you're an a-hole, because most people that get denied are like, what happened? What? They had no idea. So, yeah, you don't want a petition for that. You want a petition for no NICS. You don't want a petition for NICS me harder, please. All right, so we'll move on next to Green Beret Foundation. 22 years ago today, the U.S. Army Special Forces conducted a nighttime infiltration into Afghanistan. Their mission was to link up with the Northern Alliance Resistance Forces. Another detachment was simultaneously inserted into the Punjab Valley. This operation, known as Task Force Dagger, would go on to become one of the most renowned special operations in U.S. history. The ODA would ride on horseback through the mountainous terrains of Afghanistan and would become the first soldiers to ride horses in a battle since World War II. So, pretty neat. And there's a movie about that, Horse Soldiers, I believe it's called. And, yeah, 22 years ago. How long ago was that? Holy shit. So then you get NSSF again. Gun control groups blamed the firearms industry for the rising rates of violent crime during and following the bullshit. The truth is clearer now. The lack of oversight to ensure bullshit relief funds were fraudulently obtained is a contributing factor, along with the soft on crime policies and elected officials who refuse to jail criminals. Chicago Sun-Times published the expose of how the federal government's plan to rescue the economy from collapse was a catalyst for skyrocketing black market gun profits. The low threshold to claim bullshit relief money from the federal government made it all too easy for criminal gangs like the Vice Lords and the Wild 100s to tap into free money that was used for crimes of illegal firearm straw purchases and even murder for hire plots. So, there you go. So that's NSSF deep investigation, I guess. Interesting that they call out the gangs by name. Is that interesting? Is anybody else? So, Gun Policy or Firearms Policy Coalition, in case you missed it, is what that's supposed to mean. FUDs are gonna FUD. And then it goes, do you support passing universal background checks for firearms purchases and red flag laws? And they got like an 83% no. And then it says, so that was 33 minutes left, 22 hours in. They were at 59% no, 40% yes. And the final results were 10,000 votes, 83% no. Oh, that's interesting. So they were at 1,000 votes at 33 minutes left. And then FPC, I guess, posted about it. Is that what happened? And then in the last 33 minutes, they got another 1,000 votes. Is that what that's saying? They got another 8,000 votes, all for no. And then they said, you'll have to name yourself the 17%, because they were called the 97%. So that's interesting. It's them messing with somebody who's bad at the internet. But the problem is, as fun as it is to count coup like that, they can dismiss it by saying you were mean to us. Like, oh, look, they were mean to us. They outpowered us on the internet. They hacked us. And then they'll be the victims. So, I mean, I don't know. Is that the back and forth fucking game, you know? Like, oh, well, let's go count coup on them. And then they go, oh, well, look, they slapped us. Like, both of them win? Bullshit. They shouldn't both win. So it'd be better to educate them, I guess, is the real win here. Instead of just going over there and slapping them so that they get to play victim and you can feel so good about yourself. Let's educate them and get them. Let's just get this game over with.
If we eliminate the war on drugs, because let's face it, the drugs are winning the war on drugs. There's no doubt about that. We eliminate the war on drugs. We eliminate the violence around the war on drugs. A lot of these numbers about murders committed with guns are going to plummet. That's the single best way. If gun controllers really cared about reducing the murder rates, that would be the single best way to reduce the murder rate, is to end the war on drugs. And you'd shut down the violence associated with the war on drugs, and the drugs that people are using would be less deadly.
Yep, and we're not advocating the use of drugs by any stretch of the imagination, but the war on drugs is not helping people avoid or get out of their addictions. It's probably making it worse. And the war on drugs, along with probably some of the anti-terrorism stuff, has probably caused a greater erosion of individual liberty, particularly with regard to the Fourth Amendment, than any other, quote, war in at least in American history.
Yeah.
I don't know if it goes on from there, but I think you get the point. So that's the Forge of Freedom. Definitely worth checking out their podcast / videos over on the YouTubes. I guess there's a link to it. This is a part of a longer conversation that they had. It's actually just a piece of that longer conversation. Definitely a good podcast to check out. Put in your list. Assuming you agree with that. If not, shout out. There's probably some people that don't agree with that. But I don't know if people are ready to hear that when they say, oh, no, you got to get rid of guns. Are they going to be able to understand, hey, why don't we get rid of violence? And what causes most of the violence? Like, do they really think there's just people minding their business? They see a gun and start getting violent, and oh, yeah, drugs also exist, just totally separately. Anyhow, so now we got Unapologetically Armed posting from the, what do they call this? A moving billboard, a mobile billboard. This one says 94% of mass shootings, well, I guess they have to say shootings, are in gun-free zones. And then somebody pointing at it. That's cool. So imagine what happened here was you're walking down the street and then you seen this coming by. So you jumped up on these people's hood and they were pointing at the police car to try to get their attention because you were jumping up on their hood to get this picture. Hopefully you jumped off of there in time that they didn't get the police officer's attention. I'm assuming that's how it went down. Then we got Rebecca Schmoy. Life is busy. There's always work to do. You will find the time to do the things which are important to you. Right now, what is important to me is protecting liberty for my children and grandchildren. If we, the people, do not put the work in for defending freedom, we will reap tyranny. Having a coughing fit. I don't know if I'm allergic to something or if I'm dying. I could be dying. Not on my watch. Back to work. All right. Carrie Ann. Laws do not stop evil men. Good men stop evil men. I don't know whose quote that is, but it's pretty good. Truth, I wish some of the politicians could see that. They don't, and that's part of the issue. We have to get past the part that we don't all agree on this. There's people that do not deal with this. Is not a foundational truth to some people, and they get an opinion. They have rights. We don't have to agree with them, and they don't have to agree with us. There are people who do not agree with this foundational, fundamental thing. They don't think this is the case. They think that the other way around. People will listen to the right laws, or the laws, if everybody agrees, the other person will have to agree. Like whatever their opinion is, they're allowed to have it. So let's quit trying to change their mind and let's work with them. Let's get them to not have to agree with us, but to work with us. There's a third option. There's fourth options. You know what I'm saying? Pets for Vets. This is an awesome organization. Guess what today is? Click to learn more. It is National Pets for Veterans Day. So that was 4 days ago, and this is Pets for Vets, an organization that unites pets with veterans. They didn't give me that dog or nothing. Maybe they did, and I didn't know it. Maybe they just threw it out on the road, knowing I would probably stop for it, and if I didn't, then it would just get run over. Big deal. But I doubt it. I think it was more something else. But anyway, this was, I don't know what the hell this is, actually a picture of a veteran from some country in South or in the Middle East, because we don't use this camo anywhere. But somebody's holding the dog, wearing some kind of a weird camo with a weird hat. Shit, did that just, did Charlie copyright me? So this is, Ryan Shotgun with Charlie posted this. My friends in Massachusetts, when someone asked me if I'm pro 2A, and then he rickrolled him. Being called rickrolled. The kids don't say that. The kids' parents say being rickrolled. This is from Rocky Mountain Gun Owners. Why am I a gun owner? And then they got this, I am a gun owner because. Pretty cool. You can post that every once in a while, and people could put in their own answers. Let's read some of them. How much time we got? We're doing this as kind of a warm up to Cape Gunworks, and I did this way early today so I wouldn't get crammed up, and I think we got plenty of time. So let's read some of these. I am a gun owner because responses 4 days ago to the Rocky Mountain Gun Owners. I have a family to protect. I am a gun owner because I am my family's first responder. Also, I am a hunter. Also, I am an American. Then we have one because I am Jewish and I paid attention in history class. Then we got one that says, because none of your business. What I own is my right, and no one can tell me what to do. I'm allowed to spend my money and mind your own business, or fight me about it. And this one says, I'm a gun owner because it's my right, and I want to protect my family. Because free men don't ask for permission. Because I can. I don't need a reason. It's a God-given right. Because I was a gun owner, because it's my right, I lost them all in a boating accident. Owning a firearm is not a privilege, it's our right. I don't trust the government. I've been a victim of gun violence before. No, excuse me, what the fuck did I just say? I've been a victim of violence before. That's the brainwashing. It got me. The brainwashing got me. I'm going to drink some coffee. I got to wake up. Look, the dog looked over and said, what the hell did you just say? All right, next one. I want to protect myself from the unknown. That's scary. I own guns for many reasons, but none of them matter because my founding fathers saw it fit that I should be able, regardless of what the government says. That was an interesting one. I'm going to click on a couple more. These are interesting. I hate the government. Oh, nice. Because I've seen what the politicians are capable of. Interesting. To protect my family, myself, against a tyrannical government. Because I will not become a victim. Because it is my God-given right to defend myself, and I refuse to allow myself or anyone I care about to be victimized by any individual or government. There's a shit ton of hashtags. Because I know what happens when politicians disarm their citizens. Because the U.S. government exists. Well, that's not scary with your weird shit. Fed. Oops, sorry. Government plant. Oops, what? Because protecting myself and my family is my duty. Also, tyranny is a very real threat. My government is evil. And then the rest of them are hidden because they're misleading, offensive, or spam. I'm not going to bother reading those because they're probably weird. So I lost my place. Let's go find it again. Those are all the ones that we've already clicked on today. So this is the deal. We go through, we look at these things, I comment on them. And because of my Patreons, I don't have to hold no punches. I don't have to act like I give a shit about stuff that's fake and lame. So our Patreons make it possible for us to spend time on projects like these. Thank you. In addition to this ranting stuff I do on Wednesdays and then again on Fridays when we do the same thing for YouTube, we have quite a few resources on the line, websites that offer education, archiving, and inspiration, hopefully. Those are on servers, and those have some software, not a lot, but some software running them. And our Patreons support our projects. They subscribe. Most of them are paying buying a cup of coffee each month. Some of them are buying us lunch each month, $5, $20 a month. And that adds up, and it allows us to do what we do. So we appreciate those capitalists who redistribute some of their financial resources over to us so that I can take time each week to spend time on this and not do what I should be doing, which, trust me, I have other things I should be doing that make me real money. But I don't have to just do those things. I can take time out and work on this. And again, I don't have to act like some company's grip angle or some new crap they're importing is the bee's knees, because I don't care about any of that. Like, you can care about that all you want or just care about that all you want. I can take a look at Second Amendment from the perspective of somebody who gives a shit about how we're doing in our overall struggle and challenge to create awareness and get the people who are against us off our backs. And we don't do that by changing their mind. We do that by creating awareness of those people in the middle who they're abusing, who they're taking advantage of. So anyway, I'm focused on that, and I'll say thanks again to the Patreons who make that possible. You can be a Patreon. You can click on links wherever it's at and jump in. Buy us a cup of coffee each month. 10 people do that. That's a bill. And now I can spend even more time doing this. I'm not trying to get rich. I'm just trying to pay the bills. All right. Well, so why I'm a gun owner, Rocky Mountain Gun Owners. What if you did something like that on your channel? Would that create a lot of interaction? Would that help your project grow? Would that help would that indicate to the logarithms that people on your channel are there with an interactive intent instead of just observers, instead of just an audience? Have you ever challenged or tested the people watching your stuff with something like that? That's a great social media strategy. It's also a cool experience for people in our realm, but it's kind of a dual purpose there. Take that and run with it. What do we got next? The Great Start Shooting School. Ever heard of it? Every Saturday, Brooke does Suicide Prevention Saturday, focus on mental health awareness and suicide prevention. Each Saturday, live in the evenings. Check it out. A Great Start Shooting School on YouTube. Use of force. What does it really look like in the eyes of the law? How will you be judged? Check out this USCCA course where we go over an overview to get you thinking. September 7th, all right, October 25th, which is today at 7 p.m. It's an online course you can check out. Let's see if we can't get a link to that. So this is Brooke's channel, or I mean her website. You can grab over there or go over there and grab a slot in the classes offered by A Great Start Shooting School. If I can get that to copy. Just like that. No, puppy. I'll get this. You stay sleeping. I'll take care of this, puppy. You don't have to worry about it. I'll take care of this. Oh, now it's not letting me. See what's happening? I got errored out. It doesn't like linking to A Great Start Shooting School. It might be because of the URL, I suspect, at this point, or it's something glitchy with the software, but hard to determine. I'm not going to do it right now. But yeah, you can go check out Brooke's channel or website, agreatstartshootingSchool.com. All spelled out like if you were writing it out, except with no spaces. Speaking of who I hope to have on next Monday, in fact, I'm going to go open up an email right this moment because I keep forgetting to do this, and then I start doing other stuff, and then I think about it after the fact. So we're going to quickly jump over, open up a quick email. No big... Oh, you know what? I should probably just do it on Instagram. Doing it like a sucker. I'm going to go over to Instagrams, since we're on Instagram, and I'm going to jump over to the little... Here's how you do it. You click on this little paper airplane. I'm not going to do it in front of you because it'll open up everybody's names who I talk to. But then you just look for... Can it search? I guess I have to search first. Search for Crump. Throw a message at him over here on the place with the Instagrams. Oh, man. See, this dead air is brought to you by me texting Crump. So we'll move on. And he has a book coming out, Masters of Firepower. I think it's about the 10 millimeter Glock, but it might be about something else. Chronicles of Iconic Firearms Designers, Sean Crump. So, yeah, pretty cool looking book. Let's see. Then we've got... Okay, so is there audio to this? But I'm not going to play the audio. So this is video of Casper, this dog who got attacked by 11 coyotes. And then he killed 8 of them. And I guess the other ones ran away after seeing 8 of their friends get killed. Pretty cool. We talked about a girl and a gun before. This is the Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. September is. So for Childhood Cancer Awareness and Unstoppable AF shirts, $5 of every sale was donated to the Copper Trooper Foundation. This year they contributed $1,000 to the foundation. So that's a bunch of shirts, which supports pediatric cancer. Am I saying that right? Research at families who are in the fight. So that's pretty cool. And it also means that many shirts are out there, for people to wear them and to start conversations or to think about it as they're wearing those shirts. And, those shirts will be in photographs and social media. So it gets the word out there. It's a pretty smart way to create awareness for something that, like a lot of things, needs money thrown at it at a time when we're hemorrhaging money on dumbass shit because people aren't paying attention to who's throwing our money around. So, also, I think that's a cool color layout or whatever they call that. Good design. Is that a different design? Is that a bunch of kids in this one instead of the regular one? Hold on. Let me go find a regular girl and a good logo. Or does it just look different because of the color? Come on, really? Yeah, it is different, I think. Or do they make them different all the time and I never noticed it? Come on, man. Give me the dang logo already. Oh, no, that's the same logo. They do have different logos, though, because I just found this one from a classic. So, I don't know. Maybe they just have a couple of different cutouts and they put them randomly into stuff. Oh, yeah. That's pretty cool. All right, well, so we're moving on. Would you blindfold yourself and eat whatever someone fed you? No. Then stop letting the media do it to you. Pretty good imagery there. Is that the way to say it? Pretty good way to get the message across without it being super offensive. It's a little bit weird. So this is Jenny Thrasher. I'm going to go put the volume on and then we'll go back. We'll go back and let her say the whole thing from the beginning.
Did you know that in Olympic rifle shooting, you're scored on how close you get to the center of a target? And at 50 meters, that center is only the size of my pinky fingernail? Did you know that in Olympic rifle shooting, you're scored on how...
She's an Olympic shooter and coach. Does a great job. See, if I leave the music on or the sound on, then everybody copyrights me. And if I turn it off, then we got to go back and forth. So there's no way to win. There's just no way to win. If I had a decent co-host that was like had his hand on the mute button all the time, constantly paying attention to the show, what would that be like? What a professional show that would be. Anyway, this is Chris from 740 shooting off some kind of gun that he likes the grip angle of. He has got his red dot on it. The kids are these days. So that's look at this. Back in the day, no one put this kind of production level into their video reviews. So it's fun to watch somebody who likes making videos and then likes gooping up their guns with a bunch of goop and then having fun making some videos about it. But the best part is right over here when you don't even think about it. But what do you think this is? Somebody just standing there, or is that a drone? You know what I'm saying? That's pretty cool. You don't get that back in the day. So gun culture 2.0, getting close to the point of diminishing returns with just one section of the conclusion to finish. If I finish today, I'm 2 days behind schedule. If I have to quit tonight and finish tomorrow, I'm 3 days behind. I picked a bad week to stop sniffing glue. So Professor Yamane is doing his book. I have no idea what it's like to finish a book because I never finish them. I only get them started and then they're impossible at about 80% of the way through. They're impossible to finish the worst, boring parts, and it's impossible to get the good parts right. And I've moved on. I have to move on. I have never finished one, so I don't know what it's like to actually finish one. I've kind of half-assed finished a couple of them, but I can't imagine finishing something that matters and that has a lot of words in it. My stuff is almost half words, half pictures. It's like step or two above coloring books. So, yeah, I can't imagine how difficult this must be. Oh, then he's posting about it and letting people know, which is pretty cool. It's good to hear that we got people. At least it's encouraging, in my opinion, that we got people like him on our side, attempting to create that awareness that remove the veil of division that allows the bullshit back and forth game. You know, the my rights, my property. Like we must do something. If only one life. You know, we're both sides just yell their opinions at each other over and over, and people profit on that. People profit on that. People profit on that. The way you remove the profit, the way you remove that cycle is to illuminate, right? Let's get rid of violence, right? Let's get rid of suicide. What happens now? Why do you care about guns? They're not even an issue anymore. Let's look at fentanyl. Let's look at smoking. Let's look at alcohol. Why are you so fixated on guns? Why are you not paying attention to fentanyl? Why are you not paying attention to fentanyl? Why are you not paying attention to fentanyl? Like, it's so easy to end this, but we're allowing them to continue it. Well, again, thanks to our Patreons, I can harp on this shit where other people wouldn't even bother. Horrible, horrible, horrible. I'm not going to say nothing. Horrible. All right, now we're taking a commercial because it was so horrible.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
Yeah, I knew I wasn't going to be able to get through that one, but I posted it. All right, so 2 cops from California. I mentioned it before. This is another one that they posted. Why does anyone need a 30-round magazine? And then it's got the 30 or so paratroopers going into Gaza. Or is this from Red Dawn? It's hard to say. It could be a ripoff from the bullshit Red Dawn, the fake movie Red Dawn that was a communist plot planned to ruin the real Red Dawn. Bannerman's Castle. It's freaking my dog out over here. Bannerman Castle posted this. Awesome. Look how awesome that picture is. It's the most beautiful time of year to visit the island. The last scheduled tours are next weekend. They will sell out. If you're interested in visiting, make sure your reservations are in advance. Man, I'd like to get back there again. I know John Z's out there. We'll get back there one day, maybe. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? We're going to pause for a bit and see how long this is going to take. All right, sorry about that. The co-host, we're blaming it on the co-host. The co-host got a phone call, and you know how he is when he's on his call. He gets all chatty, and he has to deal with numbers and stuff. So he just had to pause the whole show for his phone call. But it's over now, and we're good to go. But I'll appreciate the co-host anyway. I'll give him a little biscuit for taking all the blame for everything that happens in a live show. Not every co-host for mini bites. All right, so back to it. Now I'm curious. It's driving me nuts. I gotta go see what this little arrow is telling me over here. Oh, that's Crump. All right, so going. Oh man, what did I do? Can I just go back and back? I should have done it in a new window. I think I went all right. So again, apologize for the thing there. I just got a phone call, and it was a phone call I had to take. I couldn't push it off or whatever. So that's what happens when you're live. You know, stuff happens. But we had a little co-host here to entertain everybody, and I tried to flip the screen around a little bit. We are back, right? Let me double check. Yeah, okay. So, boom, Soldier Systems. I'd never seen this view before, but yeah, how cool would Maximilian have been at that size? Is this, I don't know, was Black Hole from a book? Or is this just some artistic, like somebody's, what's that called? You know, just somebody doing whatever they want. But yeah, that would have been badass to have Maximilian be that size. It would have been a whole different movie, really. Let's see. I don't know who this guy is, but it says, today you have 100% of your life left. I dig it. I like that. So it's from A Girl and a Gun. They often put these things up every once in a while. This Battle Buddy 3 gun.
And in this video, I'm going to be showing you some adaptive ways to load your rifle. So if you remember a couple of videos back, I made a video going about different ways to rack your handgun. This is going to be the same concept, except with a rifle platform. So just like the last video, I'm going to be doing everything dry. As you see, there's no ammo in the firearm whatsoever. And in my magazines, I have snap caps. So the first way that I would recommend is probably going to be the easiest, is to find a way to lock your bolt back. So if you lock your bolt back to the rear, and in this case I'm going to act as if I don't have the ability to use my left arm, I'm going to, one, make sure my muzzle is pointed in a safe direction. I'm pretending that this is the 180 being in front of me, and everything behind me would be the spectators, the rest of the squad, whatever it may be. So with my muzzle pointed in a safe direction and knowing that I have full control of the firearm, I'm going to remove my magazine, rounds forward, push it in, and then I do have a bad lever on here, so I'm going to hit that down, and then it will chamber. Now the next method is I'm going to use something.
So it's pretty cool. And Battle Bunny, if you hadn't heard of it, is kind of a sport / collaborative thing where they may create awareness for differently abled folks participating in shooting sports. So they go out and they do other things, and then people come and be part and are part of their competitions. I think it's in Texas. The Armed Gardener posted this wicked picture of some awesome mushrooms. Very cool. No text or nothing, but it was very cool. So this is Unapologetically Armed posting. It says October 2023, Union Pub, DC, after the Women for Gun Rights rally in front of the Supreme Court building, with somebody and the Dick Heller Oh, and Dick Heller, the Dick Heller, I get you, who graciously offered me his French fries. If you know me at all, I wholeheartedly accepted them. So it took me a minute. Is this made out of shotgun shells? Or is that, oh, it's bottle caps, I bet. Is that a bunch of bottle caps up there? I thought it was shotgun shells, I guess. So that's at some bar I'm here, I'm assuming, in DC. Then we got Rob Stott from the AK catalog. Dude has had probably the most access to the most AKs of anybody ever. I think anybody ever. I can't imagine who's had more access to more museum pieces and more armories and more in use on the just in the world guns. Who's had no one has had such an interest in archiving them. And then taken such high quality pictures, even since back in the day when it was incredibly difficult to take high quality pictures. Rob was taking high quality, museum quality, archival photographs of the things that builders and archivers are going to care about, collectors and people just trying to document history of firearms and the machines themselves, the manufacturing and the operation. His pictures would focus on rivets and factory marks and wear marks and uh, understanding what to look at when, so you could see variations and you would get pictures from every angle. He has had and has access to getting into collections, taking stuff off of the walls at museums, out of the back rooms of museums. He picks which guns he's going to take pictures of often. So again, the AK-47 catalog is a very accurate description of his project, but it sounds so simple. But it's the most elaborate archival Kalashnikov project ever. It dwarfs everything that ever else has ever been attempted. It's completely digital, and you can get physical copies off of Amazon in editions, so you can create a whole catalog of them. As soon as I'm rich, I'll have the whole catalog. I've got about 3 of them right now, because you can look at them online, and there are just a lot of them. So this one says, this one I do not need to answer. So this one says, sample 2-page spread from my book, the AK-47 Catalog, Volume 5. There's many more volumes than that now. Showing off not one, but 2 East German 5.56 rarities. So these happen to be some of my favorite versions of the AK. These East German cranks, essentially, that have the awesome, my favorite of the stocks, the wire side folders. And then I don't care about the 5.56. That's actually pretty lame. I like them in 7.62 by 39, but these are even rarer versions of the 5.56. But the way that the Bakelite handguards and the way that they built their crank and stuff are pretty sweet. Anyhow, this one says we have the original East German 5.56 Experiment, that essentially a stamped receiver Galil SAR. Many of them were actually taken from a Galil. And then in September 2000, I was lucky enough to be locked in the vault at the something museum in Dresden for a week, while other collections might have it beat for as far as rarity or as far as variety. The sheer number of AKs in the vault beats anywhere else in Europe. Purchase links to all my book series can be found in AK47catalog.com. So yeah, I guess that's pictures from the Dresden Museum. I have not been to any of the European museums, so I'm assuming they're pretty good for AKs, though. They were, in fact, bottle caps. Once I seen them on my computer, when I saw them on the phone, I thought they were shotgun shells. And I was like, oh, that's cool. But then as on the computer, I could see that they had writing on them, so that's why I figured they were bottle caps. This is just a wicked picture. I'm not the biggest fan of the Micro Draco because of that stupid-ass handguard, but it's a cool gun. And with a whole bunch of U.S. Palm mags. I don't know, is U.S. Palm still cool? It used to be a really cool company out of Scottsdale Gun Club, or in that same area from Scottsdale. But I don't know if they're the same company anymore. Did Troy buy them or something? I have no idea what went on with U.S. Palm. But anyway, the mags are pretty sweet. They're pretty rugged and reliable. I've enjoyed mine. I've treated them pretty badly too. But that handguard is lame. Nothing you can do about it unless you buy a cooler handguard. But it is pretty neat having a little tiny AK. And yeah, not my favorites, but certainly one that's appreciated. They're jamming it into some kind of nylon bag. And then it's a package deal at our friends at BMC out of Albuquerque, one of our favorite gun shops. Definitely our favorite gun shop in Albuquerque, and maybe all of New Mexico. Actually, very cool people. Back in the days, Bob is the guy that started the Daily Gun Show with me in 2016. And when we were driving around doing tours of the gun shops all around, that's one of the things that me and Bob did. We stopped at when we got to Albuquerque, we could stop at BMC and leave Bob's camper there in his truck, really, and then haul around at the time in my cop car and get all of our stuff figured out. And we left the dogs in the camper and they chilled, and actually worked out really well. We toured like 19 gun shops in Albuquerque more than once, thanks to BMC. So that's pretty cool to let us kind of camp out and use their parking lot for Bob's giant ass fifth wheel camper while we're out there, chatting up other gun shops. Essentially, we're not promoting them or nothing, but doing reviews and checking them out and reviewing them all. But anyway, getting to another one from Teresa. Says studies find men will purchase literally any object described as tactical. And it's got some guy opening up the tactical candle company box and being all excited about it. I don't know, is that true or not? It might be. The problem is that everything cool gets a tactical label written on it. And what are we supposed to do about it? Like not buy it because it says tactical on it? Come on, man. We just ignore that. We deal with it. It's not like we look for it. We just have to overlook it. I got to deal with this. I'll be back in a moment. Another interruption. The show is not scripted. Otherwise, I wouldn't script these interruptions. Never had allergies, so maybe I have allergies and I just don't know it. Or else I'm sick. I can't tell. Probably sick of the BS. So here's USA shooting. I don't know how to say this. This person is your 2023 Pan American Games champion in women's 10 meter air rifle. So what are you going to do? Olympians constantly use our flag as a cape or a towel, but they just won champion. So is that gold? So very well done. Thank you. And I don't know. We should get some kind of Olympic team flag that they can do their thing with, but I guess all the countries do it. They think it's cool. Let's see. This is pretty hilarious. So I can't play the music, but check out what's happening here. Somehow that door got open, probably because that buffalo was sick of being in there. So he opens up the door and books it out of there. And then this other buffalo's like, yeah, that seems like a good idea. And then that third one's like, me too. And then this guy's like, what the hell? So that's what happens when you try to keep buffaloes contained. I don't like it. Pretty awesome. That guy just boogies right out of there. And then he's like, screw it. I'm running straight to the busy highway next to the train going by. Because he don't care. He's a buffalo. That's hilarious. Anyway, that's not really gun related, but at the same time, it should be gun related because that's how you should be when somebody's trying to harness your buffalo. All right, so this is Tony Simon. It says the person that did research to show 96% of mass murders from 1950 to 2020 took place in gun-free zones is a problem to the organization that wants more gun-free zones. Remember, Gun Control Incorporated needs dead bodies to fuel their civil disarmament agenda. Tony has a way of summarizing shit just to the point. He's as a Marine that he is, he's weaponized the language to effectively cut. Then you got John Lott, who's unfortunately doing what he's doing. It says, nice to be appreciated. So it says, anti-gun advocacy needs mass shootings to happen to evoke irrational, emotional responses that accept the do something as a safeguard against violence. The do something is always restraining or removing the civil rights of Americans. It's never get rid of gun-free zones. 96% of mass killings happen, why does he say shootings? He says it, happen where the law-abiding are restricted from carrying the tools to defend themselves. You are on your own. You must have the skill set, mindset, and tools to defend yourself against violent crime. The violent crime that is extremely rare occurrence, or the mass killings, or the much more likely targeted violent crimes of robbery and assault. Gun Control Inc. is a business. For that business to thrive, they need tragedies to occur. Fight for your rights to bear arms, remove gun-free zones, the mentality that there's a magical place where firearms can't exist. Sorry, I'm coughing in. Very well. It's like if I say too much stuff, I start coughing. So here's Autoloader. He loves his Springfield over there. I'm not a fan of Springfield, but I'm a fan of his pictures. So really, Instagram is for pictures. So there's some people out there that just appreciate taking pictures and like taking pictures, and I appreciate that. So I'm showing that one. This is sad to hear, but Richard Roundtree has passed away, and wicked awesome picture. Is that from Shaft? But it looks like it could have been. Maybe just a picture, like a promo picture. I don't remember if he had a shotgun with a light on it, because that almost looks like a bullpup. Sorry, looks like a bullpup. But yeah, that sucks. I'm definitely watching the Shaft series as soon as I have time to watch the movies. And then I'll put his name into the thing there and see what other movies are come up. Yeah, very cool set of movies. Big fan of them. So this I wasn't aware of. I'm not sure this whole thing. It says, this is from SynLab. It says Southern States Dream Team, Women for Gun Rights, DC Fly-In. And then it says, again, Southern States Dream Team. So then it goes Cynthia Ladd, Surprise, Arizona. I'm just going to say Stacy from Arkansas. Val from Arkansas. Becky Lou from Louisiana. And Robin from Texas. And then it's a ton of hashtags. So is that just something they did? Or is that like another way that y'all broke up stuff? Like, I thought you randomly, I guess I assumed you I man-assumed that you randomly, or I guess randomly, set up who's going with who. But is it physical location in the country? Like the East Coast goes together and the South goes together and the West goes together and Central goes together? I'm not sure. Or maybe it's dynamic to who shows up for the event, for the fly-in. Anyway, again, definitely curious about the details of all this stuff and the details of it. So then we'll move along, I guess. You know what movie this is? How many people know immediately what movie this is? Pretty awesome movie. One of my favorite movies. This is pretty awesome.
Why do they waste all that extra cloth? Why?
Looks like we're about to run into Cape Gunworks, so
why do they do that?
At some point, we're going to be corking them. But this is Tactical Rifleman, and this is pretty sweet. So if you haven't seen this before, here's a little insight.
Why is this cloth this long? Why do they waste all that extra cloth? Why do they do that? Excellent question. I'm going to show you why. You take that nice long bandolier, right? And there's a little white string right here. Pull that little white string. Just pull it. Ta-da! It's gone. And now what you've got is a tall bandolier that will hold your magazine. Holds them awesome. Holds those magazines perfect. Matter of fact, you can put 2 magazines into each one of these. We usually don't. We sit them because they fold better. They fold nice and flat. And wrap them up. And we'll put stacks of these things into our big kit bags. We'll put MREs, water jugs, extra batteries for the radios, and we'll...
All right, he gets into more, but yeah, if you didn't know, there's a reason for everything, really, but there's a reason why they make those bandoliers the size they are, so you can use them for magazines when you're loaded. So unapologetically, I'm just saying they break into teams, semi-based on regions. Hers was Missouri, Neomia, Iowa and Wisconsin. I didn't know about Nebraska. And it's a regionist. I feel like that's a regionist, but I guess you can run your organization how you want. Oh, there's Toby.
Show more than you know, and we unfortunately haven't been doing it very consistently because of everything going on in.
All right, we'll try to wrap this thing up then. So that was a good one from Tactical Rifleman, worth checking out. This one is a gun from Rocky Mountain. Gun owners, you have no rights if you can't defend them. Look at that gun. What the hell is that lock? That's the shittiest picture. It's so distracting. Sorry, let me get rid of this. I hate this picture. It's crap-ass fake lock bullshit. It's distracting. And what's that chain? It's like a rusty dog chain or something. It's a horrible picture. Horrible picture. Like they're Photoshop it. They didn't put the picture together. They're going to Photoshop it with stuff that isn't distracting. Oh, I probably music. But this is the stuff that was mobile billboard. Whole rant on this one. Interesting here that there was a thing going on. And I don't know how they have a camera on there. How could it have been to have a camera on the road thing pointing in both directions, see the reactions of people? AI record reactions of people. Interesting. But I'm going to try to zip on by. Goldwater is talking about how the shop in Flagstaff on range had to get or something, or they have to sue to try to add into the airport in Phoenix. And that's a violent ad. I think there's a lot to talk about there. This is a voluntary website I watch. A website about voluntarism. Mute Toby there for a bit while I'm corking him. It says the limits of tyrants are prescribed by the endurance of those whom they oppress. So I think that's an interesting quote. Then we've got Guns for Everyone coming back from firearms training in Mexico. Not very many people paying attention to one of the largest international land borders and the people that live on the other side of that border and all the people that get, I don't know, assumed to be what the hell they think of Mexico is like. But Mexico is essentially like Nebraska and Texas, I assume, mixed together. Well, except they speak Spanish. This is super interesting. Best of Black 2A. So I'm pretty sure they are not happy with NAGA for a bunch of things, and they talk about it in this. So very interesting. You could have a whole conversation. Somebody that does a live conversation show could have a whole conversation about what's going on in this post. Now let's talk about this. The Museum of Flight. We recently had an inquiry from a very enthusiastic young researcher who is a person with blindness, a big fan of the Lockheed YO3A. He asked if we could help him find a model, but those we did find were quite expensive. Our exhibits team recently got a 3D printer and decided to try to create some sort of model for the young man. One of our exhibits folks, Tad, produced this 2D tile, which includes 3 touch outline views of the aircraft and a braille description along the top. It's a prototype, and we've asked the young person for feedback so we can continue to improve. Ideally, this could be the start of a new way to serve patrons, particularly those who have low vision or are blind. We offer special tours, but many people do not live close enough, so this could be a viable tool to help broaden access and engage aviation enthusiasts regardless of their location or abilities. Then they have the image description, a gray plastic square tile with a black bar of raised braille text across the top that features 3 different outlines of the YO3A. The views are from the side, the front, and the top down. So it's essentially like an aircraft identification card in tactile. So it's 3 dimensions. And you could print that. What an awesome project. You could be doing this with lots of different things. This is a bunch of people using combines for a demolition derby and people making fun of them for being American, which is bullshit because every agricultural place is probably fed up with their combines and would be gladly demolition derby them on a weekend. But sure, whatever. But it is pretty cool to see a bunch of combines smash into each other. Think about how much these things cost and how much development and technology is in them. And they're essentially, I'm guessing, old and shitty at this point because there's better ones and they're smashing them all up. So it's kind of neat. Next up is, you're welcome.
Is bacon fat in your cooking? And if you're not, you need to start. And this is how you're going to clarify it. After you're done cooking bacon in a pan, let it cool down a bit and pour it into a glass jar. Fill the jar with water, put a lid on nice and tight, and give it a good shake. Put it in the fridge upside down overnight. Then the next morning, take it out and look at this. Science is so cool. The water has all of the gross bacon bits in it, and the fat has solidified to the bottom or the top when it was there. But it's ready to go, and you can use this in all of your cooking. I'm telling you, it's so good.
So that's the kind of cool stuff you can find on Instagram if you look around. So, yeah, you're welcome. This is a bobcat hanging out on top of a cactus. This is the kind of shit that happens in Arizona. So that bobcat climbed up there. And this is in Lost Dutchman State Park. I don't know where that is. But anyway, that's the kind of stuff bobcats do. So you can basically look around up there. Or they think maybe something chased them up there. But essentially they'll go up there for whatever reasons they feel like. That doesn't really bother them to go up there. And nobody bothers them when they're up there, is the other thing. So kind of neat.
As sure as a bear walking in the room would trigger your fight or flight response. So you see a big bear comes in the room, your amygdala, your center of your fight or flight response get triggered. Like, boom, I gotta either fight this bear, freeze, or flee, run from the bear. Get around a bunch of tough guys, they go, I'd fight that bear. No, you're not fighting that bear. Come on. So the bear comes in the room, your fight or flight response is triggered. It sends a message to your adrenal glands, watch out. And so here you go. You're going to fight, flight, or freeze. Now, as sure as a bear can trigger that fight or flight response, that fight or flight response is equally triggered if a loved one looks at you and we need to talk. Like in me, what do we need to talk about? In other words, if your ego is challenged, your brain interprets it as a physical threat. And so
that's a little kernel from the conversation on the Walk the Talk America podcast, which I guess they don't on YouTube, so I didn't see it. But they played a piece of it here. It's a good slice of it to give you an indication of the way that they talk and what they talk about to kind of cut through BS. I don't know if I'm breaking up. Gizzard's trying. Good afternoon. I'm definitely Quarkin, Cape Gunworks. I'm trying to book through here. This is epic. I'm giving this go. This is
finally.
I'll let that play again because it's so good. Every single time. I won't let this whole thing play, but it's essentially about that badass falcon bird, a peregrine falcon that goes up and wails on a bird, and they talk about how cool it is. This is, I think I'm going to play this one to its entirety, and then we'll end with that robot dropping a missile. But think about the correlation. Think about the parallels that Second Amendment advocates have to what we're about to hear.
So in an interview situation, we have typically 60 minutes to persuade or make those interviewers that we're the best qualified candidate for the job. But as a person with a visual impairment, we also have to break down decades maybe of all of that misinformation, those stereotypes and social barriers and all of those attitudes and traits that you learn along the way. So in an interview situation, we have typically 60 minutes to persuade or motivate the viewers that we're the best qualified candidate for the job. But as a person with a visual impairment, we also have to break down days maybe of all of that misinformation and those stereotypes and social barriers and all of those attitudes and traits that people learn along the way. So when
Dang it. So I don't know how much of that got through, because I can see that my internet being really bad. But one that is an epic. This is an example epic social media post. I have no idea how much of this is getting. Give me some feedback. How much of this is breaking up, or how much of this is getting through? This is pretty epic right here. Well, I can't even pull my own feed, so I don't know if I'm even connected right now. So they're trying to put this great information down, but this is great information right here, and they're killing it. They're killing it. They're against me. Is it starting yet? Is it working? Let's try hitting this button. All right, it feels like it's working. So again, I'm going to play this because I don't know if it played consistently or not.
So in an interview situation, we have typically 60 minutes to persuade or motivate those interviewers that we're the best qualified candidate for the job. But as a person with a visual impairment, we also have to break down decades maybe of all of that misinformation and those stereotypes and social barriers and all of those attitudes and traits that people learn along the way. So in an interview situation, we have typically 60 minutes to persuade or motivate those interviewers that we're the best qualified candidate for the job.
So it's an epic post. So first off, it's a repeat post. It blends into itself. You don't know that you've looped it. So that it emphasizes the point because it repeats the point to the viewer. They're going to get it a few times before they realize they're in the loop, and now they've absorbed the information. So for critical information, that's an effective technique, or it's not necessarily a morally effective, but it's an effective technique. As far as the logarithm, that makes it that gets the viewer. Most viewers are going to watch this 2 or 3 times in full. That's amazing numbers. So this is a trick that's used by people that exploit these systems. But in this case, it's again to emphasize a great point. So, and then again, think about this. Are the best advocates for the Second Amendment the blind, people with visual impairments, or perhaps anyone with disabilities who deals with multiple issues on a daily basis? They're capable and most affected, and they're, I guess, the most fluent in all the different ways of adapting to the person who they're dealing with and their hangups. I can't even imagine how awesome this post is. This would be a great conversation for a chat who sits around. There's lots of chat people out there that go, oh, there's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about. You could have a massively amazing conversation based off of this post right here, either on the way that it works as a social media strategy, or like a marketing strategy, or just a effective growth strategy, or as a way to get information across, technically, or as the actual content of this message that folks with visual impairments can effectively deal with people who come at that situation unexpectedly from decades, if not lifetimes, of misunderstandings and biases, stereotypes, and tons of misinformation. Who could be more adept? That's $100 and something drone. We're watching somebody with a $100 heavy lift drone platform that are used to move cameras around or hold giant batteries to do extended flights. So a very heavy lift, essentially the Chinook of drones. That kind of platform with a separate servo that moves an actuator that moves a little piece of metal, and that little piece of metal can be moved left or right. And when it's in the right position, it's holding a bottle of water with a little hoop on it. And when it's in the left position or the open position or whatever, it moves, and the little bottle of water is no longer held to the drone, so it falls to the ground. And it's that easy to weaponize. $100 piece of equipment that's open source, can be made on any 3D printer with some motors that are coming out of any kind of little apparatus or machine or tape player. These aren't necessarily hard to acquire. Nothing in a drone is hard to acquire. It could be probably hobbled together out of a bunch of electronic equipment, just like in District 9 when all the crazy aliens are hobbling together their alien space technology out of our old washers and dryers and stuff. So regulating items is foolish and a deception, right? A distraction. Regulating items is a distraction. Items are always going to adapt and move, and technology is always going to keep going. So better to fight the reasons, the mitigating factors, the causes for the reasons people get upset, and fight and create awareness, which removes the anger and the misunderstandings. Some people are working for that, and we talked about a bunch of those folks this week at the DC with the Women for Gun Rights, but also Girl and a Gun, and also Battle Buddy 3 Gun, also Crump writing a book over there, also Pets for Vets, also individuals like Rebecca and Teresa and Alex and other people that are making a difference out there. So our goal is to talk about some of that, hold some of them accountable. You didn't see a lot of national level organizations. What are they doing? They're talking about fluffing each other up and just wasting everybody's time. Have we heard anything about, what are these things called? Oh yeah, the comment periods, an opportunity to gather the community together to actually accomplish something that has data in front of people. There's 149,000 comments over there. That's actually pretty good. I'm not going to bitch too bad. That's pretty good. 232,000 of them received, 149,000 in there. It sounds pretty good. I feel like I better go look at a couple of them here. Let's just take a look at them. Comment on. Seriously, that's what the name of all of them are? So it looks like they got 92,000. Okay, they're getting about 15,000, 3,000 a day, 4,000 a day. So let's look at some of today's. Are they really all called comment on? I am writing in support of ATF's proposed rule. I am writing to support this proposed rule. Robert Jenks. Does it let me go left or right, or do I literally have to go back and forth? I do have to go back and forth. So we're going to open these things up like the old days. Right click, open in a new tab. Right click, open in a new tab. Are we getting our asses handed to us while we're sitting around bickering? And yep, I am writing in support. 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 All right, well, I'm going to write in support of listening to Rapid Fire Radio. It's already been on for, this is how you tell how long something's been on. You highlight over that red line, and then you have to go all the way over to the left. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but it'll tell you, shit, can you even read it? It's been on for 19 minutes, maybe? I don't know. I can't really read it. Yeah, probably 19 minutes. So that's how long I've been corking them, but that's my fault. Well, it's actually this little dog's fault. He was a bad co-host. If he was if he was a better co-pilot of this show, he'd have done things, wiggled at me, or done some kind of a move that I would have known, oh man, I got to hurry up and keep moving because Toby's on. But he failed. He just sat here sleeping the whole time, and because of that, we've corked the crap out of this show for 20 minutes. All right, well, with that, we're ending this one. I'm still going to throw a commercial up there because we still got to get paid. So if you want to buy something from our store, that helps us out. If you want to go grab something from Gizzard Gary's store, think about doing that. You ever thought about going to Gizzard Gary's Amazon store? It's amazing. He's got some of the coolest looking stuff over there. Sharp things, illuminated things, even stuff that can keep hairs out of your drains, from what I understand. So check that out if you want. He might even put a link to it. I am about to post a commercial for our store, though, and we'll wrap it up and send you over to Toby. Thanks for joining.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.